budget hearing discussion regarding general service, and that comprises of street, snow and ice, property management, facility, parks and pools, waste collection, disposal and recycle, water, sewer, engineering, and capital budget. We'll start with engineering this evening. We got Mr. Walling whole evening yesterday. So we'll go to page 10 and 11.
This is our new one? This is new, but I gotta use my old one because of my notes.
All right, we're first going to work with, look at Public Works admin with A1140. Public Works admin increased by 2.44%, very marginal increase. Engineering, construction, and design, A1441. Engineering, construction, and design increased by 35.87%. That's mostly due to a removal of a position.
It also comprised page 12 also, 10, 11, and 12, type of 12. Any question for Mr. Waller? Good job. Capital.
I think we just so that his overview and that includes.
Yeah. So, you just want to give us a highlight, what's happening in the department, anything that we need to know about, and then we'll go into capital.
The biggest thing that we're waiting on is we just got the list for an IPS 3. We had an IPS 3 last year, and for only a matter of months. It was really nice to have the IPS 4 with the IPS 3. The IPS 3 ended up taking an internal promotion, which was great for her. But then when she was promoted, we had the vacancy, and the test came out. Test came out in March. We were waiting, and we just got the list a couple weeks ago. So we're working with Katie and Mary Ann on what the list is eligible for, and working on that. That would be the big get if we could actually replace and fill that, because as a lot of you know, a lot of the work that we do because of the grants and the contracts is just paperwork. So there's a lot of paperwork that goes into doing all these projects. So having that IPS 3 in engineering would be great. Otherwise, everything is pretty much status quo. We have maintenance contracts in here, so we pay for the bike share and some of the smaller contracts, sign rental on 890, things like that come out of here. So that's all status. And then fees for service line, that's how I pay for engineering consultants for smaller projects, MS4 work, things like that. So that's why that should remain, because that's a necessary thing, especially now that there's new MS4 requirements that are pretty stringent. So, and then the only other thing is on my budget it's blue, right? And it's not going to be blue.
It's not blue anymore.
It's not blue anymore.
Yeah.
So that was just something that I wanted to make sure it was clear.
The position is still there, it's just the funding is not from the blue.
Correct. From our club. Go ahead, please.
The IPS 3, which, does it go under, Public Works admin or engineering? It's not on there at all, I don't think.
It's A1440-100.
Oh, okay, it's in here, sure.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll go into capital.
So capital this year, if we go from top to bottom, the first one we had was the Mohawk Harbor docks, the large vessel docks. we've identified a gap in the funding, given that the CFA grants that we had were essentially pre-COVID. Everything from pre-COVID has increased in price. And so there's a lot of complexities to that, and the docks are quite large compared to other things in the area. So this is this is funding to make up that gap. Try to make sure that maybe the title, Anthony, one of the things I just want to make sure with the title for it is that it's flexible. Just because if we don't use all of that 750, I would hate to have to buy another dock or something. You know, I don't know how we do something where it's, you know, infrastructure or something to that extent.
We'll have to change the title.
Yeah, I just,
We'll work on it.
an older way that we used to happen is that when we used to bond money for streets, we would bond it with the street name. And then we were kind of stuck in having that street, that money, even though we had needs in other areas. So we're just trying to, you know, this is worst case scenario. If we, you know, if it comes in at $500,000, $400,000, I would hate to have a balance sitting in a capital code that says docks, because we don't have docks otherwise. Street improvements, this is a little bit higher than normal. But the reason that we're doing this is because this is, I'm hoping to have a flexible fund. Next year, we have several very large projects happening, and I really need some flexibility when it comes to financing. Next year, we're starting our Craig Street project. We are starting our Franklin Street project. We're also hoping to start our J Street connector, which is our project to connect City Hall to Mohawk Harbor. Specifically, the J Street connector project, we would need bonded money to pay for our share of that, which is to be determined. Since it isn't an existing road, it's hard to use other forms that we typically do because it's a brand new street. So that's why usually this is 1.5. I'm asking to make it 2.5. The tennis courts that we see here, this is to not renovate but replace the upper 8 tennis courts with 9 new precast concrete, pre-tension concrete tennis courts. We have a verbal agreement with the USTA that if we make this investment of $2 million, they will contribute an additional $1 million.
Wow.
So that is a verbal agreement that we have in place with them if we're going to move forward with this. And then the general facility improvements, some of these are smaller, but they add up, which is, we really have been talking with the fire department about removing all of their carpet. We no longer want carpet in areas like a fire department. It's just traps for bacteria and things like that. They're coming in and out of the booths.
Yeah.
So we really want clean, disinfectable surfaces in those areas. The chief approached me about generators at stations 3 and 4. Stations 3 and 4 do not have generators, and we did replace their doors with new doors. And the issue with the doors, just get into it, is you might see a door that has a chain and the door goes up. The new style of door, because they go up, is a screw, and it takes a little while. So to manually open that door, you're literally turning a screw. And so they really would like to see generators at the stations. I thought that was a good request. PD building control upgrades, that is literally a computer system just to try to get that system by. We use a Siemens control network. It hasn't been updated, I don't think, since 1992. And it's on a computer that I can't believe still works. The computer is very old, and we're going to have to update that so that we can be able to run the building systems. And then lastly, kind of related to that, I'm asking for some money to start to design the replacement of the HVAC system at the police station. We're anticipating that this could be upwards of $6 million project to replace the HVAC system in the building. Right now, part of last year's capital, we're looking at upgrading the electrical services. So if you were to go into the basement, we have all of our panels for the SPD electrical. The panels are no longer serviceable. So if anything breaks on one panel, we try to replace it with pieces of another panel and move things around because the panels are original to the building. So this coming year, we're looking to replace all those panels with modern switchgear so that we have the ability to upgrade. And then we're going to study the replacement of the HVAC system. When I have those costs, we can talk about it. I'm sure that the police chief would more than welcome a new station. But this is what we have to decide on, is because that station, you know, it doesn't have operable windows. Everybody's seen the station. It is a very interesting Phoebes and Schmidt design, similar to the library. And we just have to upgrade it. And when we do that, we have to bring things to code. And the building, certain things are not to code right now, which is the boiler, the chiller, the air, every single component in that building is in one giant room. Code would not allow you to do that. You can't have combustible air and cooling air and filtered air all in the same room. So if we bring this up, that's part of the cost, is we have to actually split the mechanical room and start putting fresh air in certain areas for it. So that's part of that design. Lastly on here is the hearing room. We budgeted some money for it last year, however, our estimates are higher for that. This would give us approximately $1.5 million to put towards the hearing room, which is also at the police station. Part of this will be funded, this project will be funded by the courts. Anything that we improve within the existing court's footprint, the courts will pay. However, this is an expansion. We'll be taking over some holding cells and some office space and doing some renovations. So that expansion is not paid for. Once it is expanded and they have under their lease agreement that new square footage, that any improvements then going forward would be under their expenses to pay for. So I'm anticipating that they're gonna have, it's probably gonna be like a 66 city, 33 state split, but I don't have those numbers now. We're still working. I just had a meeting today with the chief and our architect. We're going to the sheriff's department and then the corrections office just to make sure everything has to be signed off before we move forward with any kind of bid documents.
Question, so you were
Go ahead.
talking about the court's lease. So when this renovation happens, then obviously that lease will be revisited, I imagine, right?
Yeah, well, the lease would be revisited, but really the only thing that would change as far as is that they pay us per square footage of use.
Okay.
So
Square footage, so that.
Yeah, so every time they take a little bit of space from City Hall or the police station, we make sure that we account for that in our lease because they pay us for the maintenance and utilities and things like that based off of equations that they have. So right now they aren't leasing this space, but once they do take it to another approximately, let's say 1,500 square feet, then that 1,500 square feet will go on to the lease and they'll start to pay us for the use of that space. The other benefit that this project will have is, what we're hoping is, right now if you go into the police station, it feels like it's courts, and the police and the courts are like this, and just because we're all, one big happy family, we're all getting along with that, but really it's easier for us, and easier for the police if we separate it. So one of the things that this would do is, the police station has these 4 doors when you enter, and it would split 2 and 2 now. So that if you wanted to go to the police, you would go to the right. If you wanted to go to the courts, you'd go to the left. And then you would have a barrier in between so that they're not so mixed up. And I think that would help.
Go ahead, please.
Mr. Wallen, did we have, in the ARPA budget, did we have money for HVAC? Was it for the SPD?
No,
No, it's for here.
we had it for here.
For here?
Yes, and we are doing that project. That was already awarded.
Thank you.
Yep. We had some money for tennis court.
We did. We had 500.
Still do.
We still do. Yes.
Yes. Any other questions? Go ahead, please.
On the courts, Mr. Wallen has outlined what the OCA's position is. I don't share that position. The cells, they say that they're only there for the police department. We don't need them all the time. Sometimes they're there to hold individuals' court appearances, and that in fact should be treated as court space, which would shift the reimbursement formula. So that's a point of contention that's there, how much OCA would contribute to this. And again, some of this, it's been a long-standing concern of mine, the ineptness and inefficiency within the courts, where we shouldn't be doing any of this work. They should be running a night court, which would allow utilization of the space, double the capacity, and keep it at a single cost. They take some convoluted theory on that they can't work at night. It's just foolish. So it's, with these numbers, I think Mr. Wallace outlined, are fair representations, that they're still subject to negotiation and possible litigation. And the other thing, with upgrades to the tennis courts, we've done Music Haven, done the A-Diamond, done stuff, the tennis courts, complement the swimming pool. The council has on the books a fee structure for using the tennis courts. You'll basically play for free there now. There's utilization by Niskayuna, the Niskayuna School District, that we have to tighten up, and part of this budget is put in place a fee structure that, again, will be fair, and we want to, do these upgrades, have the resources there. It's no different than the golf course. We want people to be able to use the golf course, but you have to pay for it.
Go ahead, please.
So with that, would that include a staff person that would have to, that would be in charge of the collecting the fees? And maybe for the pool at the same time? I don't know, that might be a lot for one person.
That's a scenario. There might be some automated systems where you buy a seasonal pass, and something that would scan it, validate it, be able to verify it.
Thank you.
Any other question from Mr. Wallace? Are we missing anything? Capture everything? Seeing no questions, thank you so much. Appreciate all you're doing, you and your team. Keep up the good work. All the team. So start on page 13. Yeah, I'm saying this one.
So, John, what is it?
13.
Page 13.
That doesn't happen. That's what I was gonna talk.
Can you do it? You're not gonna do it so easy. So we'll start on page 13 and just flow through page 13. And we'll go down in order. 14, start at 14.
No, I was at 13, staff.
All right, so Zerk, it's all yours. We'll do one part at a time.
Property management, A 1621, very small marginal increase of 1.11%.
Yeah. 1.11%. I don't know, I'd like to explain it, I don't think.
Yeah, no, you do not.
Other than, you had a question on 1621-404, what's included in that line, year-to-date so much lower than anticipated. We do pool tree removal out there, pest control, removal of abandoned vehicles and boats. Some of the tree that we bid out have not been received yet, those bills are still out there. So there is some bills that will come in later in the year, that we do more trees, but that's what that is what's in that line. Pest control that we are invoicing the property for reimbursement. Because in the past, that was just strictly a cost to the city. And now we are doing reimbursements to the property owner for the treatment of whether it's, whatever pests are.
Thank you.
So, since we're here, we talk about the SNAP crew, like cleaning up, going to places that are in violation of that, cutting the grasses and things like that. Are we, I know in the past we charge a minimum fee. Are you looking to kind of up that and charge
we don't
the actual fee?
We charge the actual time and material. So the hours of the employee that's there and the equipment that's on site, And then anything that is disposed of with a weight ticket for the transfer station, or if it's gotta go to the county for the trash picking, so. We don't have a flat rate, we charge based on T&M.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Rates for the.
Right. Go ahead, please.
I'd like to step back to the question on 828-162-404. Right, it's 75,000, right now we're at almost about 14.5. So you're anticipating we're gonna get
We'll get
all the
more.
way to 75?
I don't know if we're all the way to 75, our trees go out to bid, as people call in, rate complaints for trees. We use two lines, we use some of the part 20, we use some of this money, depending on where the tree is. We do have an agreement now with, we have an agreement with National Grid, so if some of the trees involve power lines or postal lines, they've been taking them down, all we do is clean up. And the other thing is, we do have a very good, experienced senior tree trimmer now, so we are doing more in-house, way more than we did before, so, and he is the gentleman that will hopefully, will pass his exam, I think the end of this month or beginning of November for an arborist, so.
Yeah, we do.
So we are seeing a savings there.
Thank you.
Any other question for this section? Seeing none, we'll move to facility, building and maintenance, page 15.
Facilities, 1622, facilities increased by 8.67%, and that's mostly due to the repair line,
I'm sorry, the what line?
repairs.
Oh, thank you. Mhm.
And that's what I was just talking to our city engineer about. He pulled some money out for capital to do some repairs this year, but between all the repairs, between City Hall, Bureau of Service, police and fire stations, you know, in discussions with Chris and Al, we feel there's a lot of repairs that are needed in these facilities, and $200,000, $1,000 is gonna be needed for 25.
Now, you know, our goal is not just to repair stuff, but also maintain it.
Right.
So, you know, we're purchasing through that line, the equipment to maintain
And
the buildings and stuff.
the request that I just brought forward Monday night for the glycol system, that's getting pulled out of capital, and right now through, facilities, that was $90,000. So that's one repair at the police station, it's $90,000. Bureau, I'm sorry.
So these repairs are the Bureau, City Hall, and what else did you say?
Everything, fire stations,
Everything.
all city-owned buildings.
Okay, I'll just put down city-owned property, buildings. Okay, thank you.
Any other question for this section?
No. Thank you.
If not, we'll move to
Jump down.
page 35, service administration.
Service administration, increased by 6.61%.
There is no questions on this, but I'll be one, any questions?
Just the stipend.
Go ahead, please.
The stipend on line 85010.
It's fine.
The $3,000,
All the way to the bottom, last row.
page 35.
That would be my street supervisor.
Oh,
That's Mike,
That's my street supervisor, that's Mike Stipend.
Mike Strong.
Let's avoid calling me,
Excuse me.
please. Just for the sake of the public and, you know, put people's name out there, we respectfully ask that we do not mention names.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Go ahead, please.
85010-141, the uniform and school allowance, $750. What does that cover?
What was the number, please?
85010-141, it's on the top,
36.
page 36.
On the new budget or the old budget?
I'm going by the one I had that marked up.
Okay, that's what I'm doing too, okay.
Those
Very
are
proud.
boots.
Those are the safety shoes that are required contractually,
The same here.
He said 3 pair,
250.
they're $250 a piece.
so this is just for 3 people,
Yeah.
but everyone gets boots.
Everybody, it's different line items, yes, yes,
Okay.
everybody, yes.
Right.
All our targeting units, all our employees get safety shoes.
So they get allowance, just to be clear, they get allowance, but they don't always necessarily buy it. Because sometimes I see them in sneakers.
Oh, I don't personally take them to the store, but
Maybe we should give them a card that they'll use at the store. No, but I mean, really, in terms of safety, sometimes wearing sneakers and things is just not safe for what they're doing out there.
I don't disagree with you.
And just follow on that, should we make that mandatory, that they should have these safety?
Well,
It is a
Standard, so why are they
standard.
still doing it?
it's in their contract that they are required to get their safety boots, and if you're paying for safety boots as their employer, we would expect them to wear their safety boots to avoid any accidents. And, you know, it's a daily thing, you know, your safety boots on, and then starting to send people home to go get their safety boots and delaying the whole workday. But yes, I'm not gonna disagree, when it comes to safety, they should have their safety boots on.
Yes.
And it's not just, because I know when we look at it, I think that most people we see with their sneakers are our waste collection division. But this rule has to be, enforced all the way across the board. From the water wells, the wastewater treatment plant, to water, sewer, streets, SNAP parks. If you get a boot allowance, you should have a pair of boots on.
Yes,
Agreed?
agreed.
It's something we can work on, you know.
Thank you.
I have a question about the stipend for the street supervisor. We had a discussion last evening about a stipend for the city clerk, who we put that stipend up under her salary as a line, the clerk's salary as a line. What's the difference here? The $5,000. So why does this stipend stay?
There's other stipends too within the contract. I don't know, these stipends have been there.
Being the registrar, it's not the same.
It's different because, being the registrar is, as we defined with the, law, is a salary and not part of the stipend, that's the difference. Now, the stipend is is being for the registrar, and the stipend, like, for this position or the other positions are, working at night, taking phone calls, coming in the evenings, working evenings, that's what a stipend is for.
Right, I thought that's what the stipend for the city clerk was,
No,
because
that's
they
for
work
being a
weekends.
registrar. It's for being a registrar, which is
It's a
position for
separate
state.
title.
Correct.
Yeah, and those maintained. Ms. Michael, you have that on paper, so it kind of highlights where that is. Can you share that with the council, please? Any other question for street maintenance? If not, we'll move to mechanical equipment garage, page 37.
Street maintenance, 8510.
5132?
Yes,
Or do you want to skip that?
yeah.
Yeah, we didn't do street maintenance. We would.
Oh, sorry,
That's
sorry,
okay,
sorry,
that's
sorry.
okay. And we did have those
Street
changes.
maintenance, 85110, decreased by 2.20%. If you look at the road materials and masonry, decreased approximately 50,000.
And this was the one we should put there last night where the ARPA line.
Yes.
The amount changed.
You see the new one?
Yes.
We
So
correct.
there are two being funded by
Correct.
ARPA. Yes. Any question?
But that had to drop down, that was the speed limit, right?
Right, yeah, we corrected that.
Correct.
So it'll come down 131,852?
Yes,
Okay,
that's correct.
all right, thank you.
Any question on this section? If not, we'll move to page 37, garage.
Mechanical equipment garage increased by 1.4%.
Anything you want to highlight on this? or-
No, I mean, they're just minor increases, I mean, if you look in the motor vehicle repair line, the 5132, 462, you know, from 23, it dropped from 1,071,000 to 990. It's staying the same, they're just higher ticket items. Repair parts are coming up a little bit, there's 15,000 added for parts, this parts for vehicles are getting more and more expensive. And there's a $15,000 jump in the fuel oil and grease, just anticipating fuel oil and grease is going up.
Yep.
It's not a, it's not a big jump. You know. Department heads, myself, Chris Lund spent a lot of time, going through these budgets to make them as tight as we can, as accurate as we can.
Councilman Ware?
Go ahead, please.
So is this where last year we had the discussion about the mechanic that we had, is this where this is?
Yes,
Alright, so this individual is,
here.
so A513221, the master mechanic, is that what that is?
No, he's mechanic 1. Motor equipment, operator mechanic 1.
Top of page 30.
He was hired about 2 months ago.
So he didn't get hired, not like at the beginning of the year?
No, we didn't find one at the beginning of the year.
He was hired when?
About 2.5 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, he was hired.
Okay, so,
We had to get a lift also.
I beg your pardon?
We had to get a lift for the gentleman to work with. That was in last year's budget also.
It was ordered, it was in, so he has worked on it. He is working, he's just getting a feel for things, and then eventually he will move to an off shift. But our shifts will be changing in a little more than a month, because we normally break our shifts usually the first Monday of December is when we go to the winter schedule. And soon after that, he will be trained well enough where he will work on the second shift. But we're getting a lot more accomplished with him, a lot more of what we'll call basic maintenance, oil changes, tire replacements, lights, and this is what we needed somebody for, to do some of the, just the normal, regular maintenance items on the trucks.
So we're not sending them out.
Pardon?
So we're not sending them out.
As many, right, these little things,
I'm sorry.
it's another body in the shop that's getting things done to get the trucks back on the road quicker.
And then he'll go to the night shift.
Correct.
And so the first 7 months of the year, that money we really recapture goes back to the budget
Yes,
because we didn't.
money's in
use
the
it.
budget, we didn't spend it, it's in the salary line, it's still there.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, please.
The city's definitely taking measures with purchasing more EV vehicles. Have you noticed any negative effects of maintenance, or have those costs?
No, because the EV vehicles we have right now are fairly new, where we see a little bit of a delay is in the older
Chevy Bolt.
Chevy Bolts, because they're discontinued now, so parts are not as readily available. So, we don't work on electric vehicles, we're just not qualified to work on electric vehicles, so the electric vehicles do have to go out to the dealerships. So, and we're at mercy to the availability of parts, so, if the part's not available, unfortunately the vehicle will sit there, So the newer vehicles, we're not seeing, the bolts and, police vehicle, it's our older, bolts that they don't produce no more.
Thank you.
They've also just discontinued the Bolt after we invested.
The bolt's gone,
Yeah. Go ahead.
Just correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there some federal grant money around our EV vehicles purchase, or no?
Large.
There's grant money
We have purchased
under grants,
Right.
with grants or subsidized.
rebates.
Okay.
Only 26,000, there is some money for larger vehicles out there.
Any other question for Garage? If not, we'll move to page 39, snow and ice.
Snow and ice, 85,142, increased by 13.92% from 1,085,000 approximately to 934,500.
Decrease.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Decrease.
What was the decrease percent? I'm sorry.
13.92%.
Thank you.
Questions? Any, you want to talk about, highlight anything?
Oh, just the two, it's known as a smaller budget, but the two biggest reductions were the fees for services and the road materials. Based on what we spent this year for road materials and what we have for salt in the salt shed right now, we're confident that we'll get through 25 with what we have in the budget at 934,500.
These are service covers,
There are private contractors for snow plowing, the loaders that have roads of their own.
and that's all.
That's it.
We do have the same rate, but that's,
Yes, we haven't, we kept the rate the same as last year, and yes.
okay, good, perfect. Yeah. Any other questions? Go ahead, please.
Just out of curiosity, how many do we have, like private,
We
at
had
any time?
21.
21? Every storm or a certain amount of storm?
They're on site, they're brought in, different parts of the city, Bellevue,
Street, I
down
guess.
in the north end. So the equipment is already there, ready, so when they're called for general plowing,
That's great.
those drivers come in, we don't have to wait for them to get the equipment here because it takes hours sometimes. These are not machines you're just gonna bring in quickly, so these machines are sitting in different places within the city and the routes are already established with the contractors. So they know where they have to go, they give them their machines, they fuel them, we don't provide fuel or anything, and they do their routes.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Do you think that the 250 is gonna be enough? I know that the year-to-date,
Yeah.
I feel like the year-to-date when I
They say
looked
it's
it up,
global
it's like
warming, so expect
239.
rain and
I know, I mean, that's, yeah,
No snow.
I would love no snow.
I mean, it's, it's a guess with the weather.
Yeah,
I mean, the one year, we all know what happened when
Yeah.
we had the 30-some inches.
Yeah.
We spent, that one storm was well over $1 million.
Well, hopefully
But
that
we can't
will-
anticipate and just budget because we think something may come. If we have a year like we did last year, we should be fine.
yeah, okay.
There's two aspects to that. One is big storms or a lot of little storms. So you have
4 inches, 4
3 or 4
inches, 4
inches,
inches.
5 inches. You gotta mobilize everybody.
In our bigger storms, we do have to go out and, we have the loaders that are pushing the snow. But when we have a storm like we did, a few years ago, now we have to go into snow removal. So now we're hiring dump trucks to on top of it to haul snow. And then that's when, they're running 24 hours to get the streets cleared because there's no way to push the snow if another storm comes in. So it's not just for the loaders, it's everything else and running around the clock. And our guys usually run around the clock and, at the same time.
On the same subject, compliance is big, where you have like the onesie-twosie cars that are blocking the plows from being efficient. Has that been an issue that you've noticed, or have residents been responsive to efforts of
Well,
I've been around for 45 years. I started in the street department in 1979. There was a lot of different plowing snow back then. We didn't have a 10-wheeler dump truck, we had 6-wheel dump trucks. We didn't have wing blades, okay? But there was a lot less cars parked on the street. People nowadays, every family member in the family has a car. Nobody uses the driveway because when somebody wants to get out, he looks outside, or she looks out and says, I gotta move 5 cars to get mine out. So everybody leaves the driveway open and parks on the street. It makes it very difficult for our plows to get down these streets and maneuver around cars. It's not gonna change. If it snows, we're gonna get complaints. It's just the nature of the beast.
Well, Paul, I have to say, since this was implemented, we have seen a lot less complaint about snow on the street. Saying the city's vehicle them out, their equipments are out, and they're maneuver the street and taking care of the snow. So I would say that, it's working, and we just want to make sure we maintain that line so that we have this available whenever it
It
happens.
is, and we started our contractors a little earlier now in general plowing. Sometimes we wait because there's a time when we think we can keep ahead of the storm, and then it sneaks up on you, and next thing you know, you're behind it. So we get the private contractors a little earlier now and start getting the streets cleaned.
It's a lot of coordinated effort with the police department, getting them out in front of us and notifying when they don't, they're starting to tell.
And they've been very good working with Mike, and coordinating the priority streets, because priority street is a priority street because there's a reason. And those are the streets that we have to have the cars off of. And, it's obviously where the police department starts, and they notify us so we get the plows up there as soon as possible because the street's been cleared.
Good job on that. Yeah, any other questions? All right, seeing none, we'll move to page 40, and that's parks maintenance.
Parks maintenance, page 710, increased by a marginal amount of 2.18%.
Want to highlight anything? Maintenance?
is in salaries and benefits, but, if you look, even fees for services in the parks has come down a little bit, to $10,000. There are no single big items, other than you look at overtime, we anticipate snow, the parks take care of their own parks, and certain sections of the city, which are the island streets off Eastern. Obviously, when you look at increases in pay, that increases at time and a half and double time, and it's overtime, so overtime follows accordingly.
Questions? Go ahead, please.
And this has been a question throughout the process, the blue, highlighted blue is ARPA money. And then on this budget, the, Director of Parks and Rec is paid out of that, which we know we just hired. After quite a while, saving that short period, we had someone else. What's the thought process in terms of moving forward to be able to keep this individual?
I think the Director of Parks and Recreation is an important, a critical person to keep in the parks. We've run for years without him. I think the last long-standing Director of Parks was Bill Seaver. I think he's been gone for 20 years. I don't know. He's been gone a long time. We've limped along, but when you limp along, it creates problems too. Some of the more important things you look at with the parks, we just don't have somebody that's just dedicated to do that. Now, with the park structure in place, we have somebody who's dedicated, somebody who's actually familiar with the parks and city operations. So it will be an asset to the city moving forward. Funding that now and then removing it later, it's just gonna, we're gonna go backwards. It's one step forward, two steps backwards. So I think it's prudent upon the council next budget cycle, if it's in there, to keep it in there.
Definitely.
That wasn't my question, whether we should keep it or not, just wondering about how we think about making sure that it is there. Because right now it's out of ARPA funds, which won't be there next year.
Well, we have
We'll
some
generate more money from the tennis.
raised tennis rates.
Yeah,
So you
I
may
haven't
be
noted there,
pools.
sir.
There's gonna be
Polls,
lots of.
We'll review that.
Baseball. I mean, there are some fees that are set within the parks, and we look at increasing fees in building and codes at times, and it may be time that we have to look at increasing some of the fee structures that are, people are using our parks, from everything from the rose garden to the pavilion to everything. I mean, we have our needs, and if our needs are important, we have to find a way to pay for those needs.
Thank you.
It's a very important position, and it's funded by ARPA. We're fortunate that it was funded by ARPA for the last couple of years, so we'll have to absorb it into the general budget next year.
I mean,
This is one of them.
but once we make the investment that we made in our parks, it would just be it'd be crazy not to have that position operating.
Exactly, yeah, so.
And our parks are only getting better and better every year.
Oh, the senior tree trimmer and the tree trimmer, is that the new gentleman who's gonna take us, which one? Senior?
The senior tree trimmer is the gentleman who is gonna be taking his arborist exam. In fact, we just got some equipment for him downstairs. He's very qualified, very experienced, he does a great job. He's saving us money.
Save us money.
I know that the new parks director is, putting together lists of equipment park by park, things that we need, swing replacement,
We've asked them
wood
to-
chips, et cetera. I'm concerned about the 25, for equipment, that we might need more money than that, but I'm hoping we can figure that out.
We just got a fairly decent amount of equipment for Wallingford, so Wallingford should be good. There's 4 skids ordered through the Schenectady Foundation. But a lot of this, what Mr. Mazik is doing is, he's looking at the repair things, the swings that get broken during the summer, the teeter totters, just the basic maintenance stuff, so we have all the swings for them to play on.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, start to develop where we want to go with the parks in the future.
I'm excited about it. I think that, it's gonna be pretty planned out and it's great. It's really great, so.
Any other question? Parks maintenance? Seeing none, we'll move to pools maintenance. Page 41.
Oh, same page, yeah.
Pool maintenance, A7115, increased by 22.42%. This is mainly due to the request of security staff and maintenance workers for the new pool.
Would you like the explanation?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Security staff?
No, I think we know it.
And the new pool, it's a beautiful pool. It's a complicated pool. It's not what we're used to in Central Park. The filter system, because it's new technology, it's today's technology, not what we have. Water running in it and then overflowing into the other end. So the requirements to the health department on pH, chlorine, and different things is a lot more strict. When they come in and monitor the pool, check the pool, and they come in regularly. So just the chemical usage is different there. So staff to, help with the monitoring of that pool. Right now, we're using internal staff that are certified from the wastewater plant to do the chemical testing. So, it's different. The old Central Park pool had no filter system, so the cost to operate the filter is a little bit more. And obviously, the security is it's based on what we went through in the first year, where people are entering the pool at night. A lot of hands.
Quickly,
A lot of hands.
just quick, so the last pool, we were essentially emptying and refilling like every day, right? Like in our lake.
Really, what it was, there was a constant stream of fresh water running in.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
Sometimes you would have to empty it though with the
Yeah, I
dogs.
mean, and the other thing we have there is we all know the problem with the geese, so yes, we did have to empty the pool, clean the pool, and then refill the pool, and, clean the deck, around the pool constantly because of the issues with the geese. Yes.
And the heating fuel for the pool?
To the pool.
The heating fuel is for everything. There's the original building where, all the servers are. The Central Park building, where John used to be, the office is there.
Oh, I
There's
thought
there's heat for the, that building is heated, yeah.
it's the building, not the.
Oh, I thought
No,
it
we don't
was.
heat the pool, for winter swimming.
no, fancy.
Yep.
There's no heat in the new pool or anything
Oh,
like that, or the
okay.
buildings there. It's for the administrative building that's in the park.
Go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to ask, in terms of Hillhurst, didn't know if there was any thought about whether we could put a splash pad instead of the pool. So that's one question I have, or just wanted to bring that up. And if so, how much would that cost? I think around 75, but I'm not sure. And then
Splash pad could be considerably less expensive than trying to repair the pool. The estimate we got on the pool, I think it was 3 years ago, we had a report done on it, that was about $500,000.
Right.
Since then, the pool, everything, all the controls, the electrical, that's in the pit next to the pool is shot. The whole pool would have to come out, you'd have to build a whole new pool. So,
Yeah.
You're talking about $1 million by the time you demo the pool and remove everything and put a new pool in. It's a decision that, maybe when we director of parks will decide and say, maybe next year we budget for, 26 for a splash pad.
oh,
or
it's only
something.
26. Excellent.
With that, isn't there there was ARPA money that was dedicated to Hillhurst, and Mr. Ferrari's looking at now to see if there's any remaining, and I'm not sure, Mr. Wallen's gone, if that's really, what it's supposed to be used for.
Was that part of the pickleball course?
I think that was pickleball.
So, he said there's 200,000, that's, the pickleball is not paid for yet?
No, the pickleball is, I'm assuming it's paid, I came through engineering, I'm assuming that's all been paid.
I'm talking about the pool, there's money set aside just for
Repairs
That's
on the
right, there
pool.
was money set aside for that.
It's just not enough,
not with it.
nowhere near enough.
No.
But we
So-
could
I
shift
think there was talks of putting the dog park there, right, or something.
Splash pad.
there was talk about a dog park, and there was also something to do with the basketball courts up at Hillhurst. It was all part of one plan that we had worked on with residents from that area. And it also, we talked a little bit about Fairview, but I think the Fairview stuff happened. But the big thing were the pickleball courts, but yeah, the dog park, and what did I say, the basketball court, were something there, but maybe some of that 200,000 could,
Bocce courts going into Fairview,
I can't remember what was with Fairview, but,
two bocce courts.
Tennis
that's
courts
great.
going.
Tennis
We
courts
did,
are
we
going.
already, yeah,
Pickleballs are hit,
Yeah.
The basketball court's being remade over to a dog park. Cut the center section out, mulch it,
Yep.
fence it.
yeah.
So the money that's left is gonna cover all of that, there's no room, there's no, funding left for considering a splash pad.
Well, unless you divert what you have towards the splash pad and then, see what the total cost of the splash pad is, but you
There might be some that's finished up, so.
It's only 20.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the other questions I have, well, I just wanted to say that the Health and Recreation Committee did meet to discuss possible fees and pool rules. I think you attended that meeting, Mr. LaFawn, thank you. And so we did come up with some ideas. We never moved it forward or voted on anything, but we can continue to have that, discussion to try to generate some revenue. What we had talked about was non-residents having to pay fees for the pool, but we haven't even brought that forward yet. But it might give us, some additional revenue. But my other question is, so have we thought at all about the old pool at Central Park and what we would do with that? I mean, I know there's been a lot of ideas tossed around, but when would we take care of that?
Well, it really depends on what you want to do with it.
Green space.
Some
And then we
That's
have
people
one of the
want green
activities.
space, some people have asked for, go back to an ice skating rink, a small one. It wouldn't take up the whole pool area. Some asked even for, was it
Skating?
volleyball? There's no volleyball,
Yeah.
a sand area where one end is volleyball. There's a number of
That's
people who've, sort of commented on a couple of things that would be nice there, but again, there's no solid plan. Me, in particular, I always think back when I was young and used to ice skate at Central Park.
Yeah,
And, if you did something there, you could control the depth where you don't have to worry about, having a red flag up all the time, it's just not safe. You make it 12 inches deep, you don't have to worry about, somebody falling in and going under the ice. So there's a number of things. It's, I think, this winter, it's kind of big for a ice skating rink, but maybe get with our new director of parks and maybe form a committee and see if we come up with some ideas of what's the best use for that area.
thank you.
Go ahead, please.
While we're discussing parks, I do remember the woman that came forward that wanted paddles. Where are we with that? Because it's gonna be next year pretty soon.
I'm sorry, want it?
The
Paddles.
Paddle
Oh,
boats.
We wrote a letter to her and haven't heard back from her.
I was just gonna say, I was looking for that.
You wrote a letter to her?
Yeah, we did. She at the address that she indicated that she could be reached at and have not heard back.
Okay.
So that's a follow-up. If there's anything more, I'll bring it to the council's attention if I hear from them.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because
Yes.
the last time it was like, I did this since 2022 and here I am again and nobody's helping me, so just want to make sure that we did our due diligence. Thank you.
Oh, since we're in the pool and the Central Park pool, the new pool, what is your takeaway from the usage this year? Or what would you, if anything, change into next year? What would you do?
Change in usage, we based the usage on what we thought was the safe number that the Boys and Girls Clubs can handle. And it was 450, and that pool was maxed out for, it was hot summer, so it was maxed out all the time. And, it was the first year, whether it was the novelty of it, and then next year we'll see, what happens, but, there's nothing I would do differently in that pool, with regards to, other than possibly, trying to extend hours because people really enjoy the pool. I mean, obviously when it's hot, people enjoy it, but that would be something we'd have to work out contractually with, the contractor who's gonna, do the lifeguarding and stuff for us, but, it's a short season, and we get 8 to 9 weeks out of it. And then unfortunately, most of the staff that's working, goes back to school, whether it's college or high school. So, it doesn't last much longer, but maybe getting some extended hours and there was a lot of activity very early in the morning for the lap pool. It was amazing even if it was raining, as long as there wasn't thunder or lightning. They were using the lap pool even in the rain. So it was a great success, the pool.
Go ahead.
I don't think it was a novelty. I think it's just a huge asset to our city. I see kids walking all over the city with towels.
Seriously.
To and from. It was really beautiful. I liked it. My question is, security staff. So I thought Chief Clifford mentioned yesterday, they had some type of grant. They paid part of that?
The community was up there when I saw the truck. There was some people up there that, there were some problems or some issues at times, with the people, visiting the pool.
But at the funding part, did it come from the PD or it just came from you?
Don't know. I don't know. I know after the mayor had requested that there was an officer there, more in the afternoon sessions, because that's when it got a little more crowded, and especially when the pool was shutting down, or getting people to leave the pool. So I'm not sure how it was funded, whether it was strictly through the PD or whether there was a grant or something.
I can also offer that the police were there more in the afternoon. I played tennis there in the morning, and they were there like 8:30 in the morning. So they were there.
I'm just wondering the funding line.
Most of our issues are towards the end. People didn't want to leave the pool.
You make it nice, everything else to leave.
The funding was directed to the police department, because, they were, we weren't planning on having police there, but because of trouble, they started patrol there.
Mayor, go ahead.
So it's been a learning curve. Now we've upped some of the other levels of deterrence with the camera systems. Again, there's two factors. One is maintaining appropriate activity during the operational hours of the parks, and then people are choosing to go in there after hours. People jumping the fence and everything, so it's how do you balance that out with the uniformed police or other security that might be a little bit cheaper and more complementary to just activities within them. We're talking about the pool now, but I look at there's A-Diamond, there's Music Haven, there's other places in the park where we want people to have fun, be able to enjoy it, and some of it is just being approached with a little bit of level of flexibility for what we learned this year, and how do we implement it going forward next year, again, to get most cost-effective results, but making sure people are behaving themselves and having a good time.
When you called your committee to order, I think one of the discussion was security cameras. We're talking about security. Having in-person security, but what about buying some cameras?
Oh, we have cameras there. They're around.
Some of it, John, was that they lagged in the installation, so the pool was done, some of the cameras weren't placed, there was laying some fiber optics. Everything now, I believe, is up
and running.
Operational.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I mean, I think we could still use a few more cameras, but I think the lighting is the other piece that really helped. I mean, we're having vandalism, I mean, there's no doubt, but I think the additional lighting that came as part of the overall project of the pool, the tennis courts, et cetera, the road, really was great and, helpful at night in the park. I know during the Music Haven season, at least, it was definitely a little bit easier to maneuver around, so I appreciate, and the lighting is, I love those lights as well. I mean, they're really very beautiful, so.
And just in back in terms of the security staff costs, is that what it cost us this year?
Oh, I don't have the information.
It's $15,000 enough to have somebody there in person. throughout the whole season.
We can look that up and.
You tell me how they do it, behave themselves.
That's what I'm saying. You know, it's unfortunate that we have to do this for a nice facility like that. And people are just there to kind of like vandalize it.
Oh, it was coming out of the police budget too, okay.
Because I think,
And do we
Oh,
is
I
it the
missed
special
that.
police?
What is happening?
Yeah.
I said that this year, the police security was paid out of the police budget.
Yeah, okay.
Which would make sense.
I think to Ms. DeToro's point, it might have been under special police officer when the police presented to us last night. I think that might have been the line.
And that, the gentleman that worked downstairs in the pool, that's
And
right.
the pool, I think.
I think I based the numbers on 2 shifts, the second and the third shift, roughly
So I
$25
gotta
an
find my pool page again.
We can play this for the year, and if we have to revisit it, we'll revisit it. When the Parks and Rec Committee comes up with their fees and decide to move forward with their fee. And I'll be on your case on that. All right, any other question on the pool maintenance? If not, we'll move to page 44, waste administration, our favorite.
Here we go.
Waste admin increased by 6.15%. I'm just gonna go through the rest of them. Waste collection, 8161, increased by 9.85%. Waste disposal increased by 6.11%. And waste recycling increased by 9.02%.
Mr. Mayor, will you skip pool recreation?
I did?
A7125.
Oh, sorry. Let's go back to page 42, bottom. Pool recreation.
Pools and recreation, A7125, increased by 4.72%. I think that's mostly due to the Boys and Girls Club fees for services.
Correct.
The lifeguards and the other staff, the lifeguards and
Well, the state changed the minimum hourly rate for lifeguards, so
Yeah.
that's what that reflects.
And this is funded by ARPA, so we have to make this 2026 prominent.
Yep.
In the general budget. Any question on this?
That's all the pools, not just, right? It's not just,
Correct.
not just
Yeah.
central, I just wanted to point that out.
All the three pits.
Yeah, sorry.
That's Quackenbush and Front Street also.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move to page 44, waste administration. Or we can just give us an update on administration and we'll take a question and then go in collection.
Not much on waste administration, other than some of the increases with the regards to staffing or the deputy director. General services, one thing we look at is retaining help and retention here, and there are some increase in order to compensate the employees that are doing the work here. We have union employees that are exceeding the salaries of managers, which is, trying to move somebody up from to the next manager spot. He's not gonna wanna leave his union spot, because he has the full protection of the bargaining unit, and he's making more than the manager. So it's just something we have to look at as a whole, when we start looking at retaining good managers within the organization.
Any question on this?
On waste admin, right?
Waste administration. Go ahead, please.
So the deputy street manager, 8160-100, so he's half part-time, half-time here and half-time where?
Streets.
So, okay.
Go ahead, please, sir.
But to that point, Ms. LaFawn, is there truly no ceiling for salaries or?
For
That example you had where you have employees superseding like salaries of managers.
That goes back to the negotiations with the bargaining units. So when you look at that and, your bargaining units are, $98,000 without their overtime. Yeah.
$7,000 for a phone.
And, it's disappointing for the manager who's supervising him, and, after the first 2 weeks of the winter, he's already exceeded what the manager's making. And, so when you look at moving, a manager leaves because he'll find something different maybe, that person doesn't want to move up to the manager's side, he's making more where he is within the unit. So It's, we've gotta change that delta between some of the bargaining units and some of the managers that are managing.
Go ahead, please.
So I see that you have your info processing specialist 3, but that position is not being filled. Is this, I guess this is probably a question for the mayor and Mr. Ferrari. Is this consistent throughout, that we're moving all the info processing specialists, either we're filling those positions or we're moving them up to 4s and getting rid of the lower clerk kind of positions?
So it looks like it's happening, and I think, I think the reason for that is to keep retention of the employees that are.
There's broader
I guess.
level of job duties that can be assigned to the 4 as opposed to the 3, so we get more value out of the actual workload.
Plus you get the retention of the employee, not gonna get paid a higher rate.
So the clerk, like we were talking about, the clerical aid position will be no more within the city at all.
No, really, I'm not always saying.
We will, but just.
In fact, at the police department, they're getting rid of IPS 3 and adding clerical aid.
Some of it's recruitment, so you have to match up what the skill set of the employee is with the actual demands of the job or the workload.
Because, well, you weren't here, Mayor, but there was a lengthy discussion about an IPS 3 position being moved, a clerical aid position being removed, IPS 3 being added, and the impact it would have on that particular, because there's an individual in the clerical aid, and that person could conceivably not have a job if they had an IPS 3 who was on the list, which there is a list now, to fill it, so. That's what I was wondering, the rationale.
Those things do happen with civil service, and I've long stopped trying to figure out the full logic behind the civil service system.
Clerical aid is not a civil service, it's not a tested position.
Correct, but what you're saying is on the other side where somebody might be in a position, there is a test, they would not be reachable on the list,
Right.
and they would be out of a position.
Go ahead, please.
Well, I think it might have been, we talked about this when you were presenting last night, and I think that, did you mention that we would do everything in our power to make sure that that person would be working still within the city somewhere? And I also just want to say, and I have very limited experience in this just from one of my previous roles, but I do find it I found it frustrating as a supervisor, but I also want to say that, again, I think that recognizing and trying to promote, recognizing people's skills, trying to encourage them to move up and appreciate their skill level is really important, especially around retention. So I appreciate when people are, like what the police department said, and especially because that clerical, the job description, I think is really just so limited in terms of what that person can actually do unless they're working outside their job title, and that could get us into trouble, so.
I didn't see, did they present us with the job description of the clerical aid, because I didn't see that.
I don't think that they did, but I'm
Okay.
just saying, they talked about the fact that I believe the clerical aid, mostly it's like answering phones, for example. I mean, once you start to use the computers and, type, or
I didn't see the
data
job description, so, I can't make that comparison, because I didn't see either job description.
Since we're on that topic and it's related to code, and I'm just gonna make a comment, would it be wise to keep that position because of the workload in codes?
The clerical aid?
Yeah, because there's so much permit happening now and so much things need to get
Well,
done.
the other thing you have to look at is, the actual job description of clerical aid versus what a IPS 3 could do, or in cases an IPS 4. When you deal with the bargaining unit, if you want somebody, say clerical aid, to say, look, I need you to, do a spreadsheet and give me a report, kind of a job description. I don't have to do it. So you gotta look at your needs in the department and then look at how you're gonna fill those needs. If you got 6 people answering the phone, but nobody can write a report, oh.
We don't get one on this. There was only one clerical aid.
That's what it is,
Not one.
General speaking.
That's why we moved, up to, to the IPS, from IPS 2s to IPS 3s, because the salary is not a big jump,
No.
but you get a lot more, responsibilities, and they can do a lot more for you under that title.
And the only way that person, if their job was, because somebody else wanted the job, the only way for them to do that is to move in the position with, if they had seniority, but within the same job title in a different department, that's, okay?
No, that's not, no, civil service, that's not civil service with seniority.
He has to be in that group.
It's really complicated.
Okay.
And I have about 5 minutes,
Oh,
maybe 8,
that's right.
because I have to be at the
Yeah, we-
GE plot meeting, so.
We'll wrap it up,
Thank you.
don't worry. Don't worry.
Everything's good.
No. All right, let's go. Any other question for waste admin? If not, we'll move into waste collection. Bottom of page 45 into 46.
There was a question submitted, 8161, 125, whether the waste working hours, that is when an employee from another department comes down to assist waste, there's that $2 an hour bump that they get. So if we're short or there's a lot of call-outs in waste, and we bring somebody from street staff parks, they get that $2 an hour.
Gotcha.
And we did approve that in the contract.
Yes.
So that was approved
It's
by
contractual.
us, contractual.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this section? If not, we'll move to page 47 at the top, waste disposal. Go ahead, please.
Just on 46 and 47, increasing the labor loader from 3 to 5 and 5 to 7, I think that's a good deal. I think it's important, and I just want to put that out there.
Disposal. Let's do disposal. The top. This one.
No, right here.
We're dealing with this one here.
Oh, but this is up here on page 46. So it's
Oh.
A 8161, 121.
I have
So we're going 3 to 5, yeah.
And what it was, there's 2 in the waste collection, 2 in recycling.
Yeah.
We have a lot of very good labor loaders that do a great job. They're never gonna, we have no incentive to get a driver's license to our CDL for other reasons.
Right.
But, they should be looked at to move up to get benefits from the city because of the work they're doing. And, you were kind enough to put 5 in last year, and requesting 4 more this year. And those would be 4 labor loaders that are, we'll call the cream of the crop. They come in every day, they do a great job. To move them from seasonal to, full-time position here.
I think that's wonderful. And they don't need their CDL at this point, but hopefully they'll be working right along and want to get it, and that'll increase up the line for CDLs for trash drivers. Thank you.
Go ahead,
So
please.
this is really a question for, we kind of had this discussion around a different department. So this 15, is this really 15 people in this position to on the top there?
No, if you look at the new one, there's only 5.
Okay, all right, I didn't, yeah, I know, but I'm still, got me okay.
Yeah, we
Okay,
broke it out today.
all right, so that one did get broken out, so
Yeah,
it's fine.
we broke them all out.
5, yes. 5 is funded by,
Under the new thing, you'll see that correctly.
5 is funded by
Yeah,
Not
Amarco.
15, yeah.
Any other question? Move to page 47. Waste disposal and waste recycling.
The increases are there, obviously, in our tipping fees, and
Yeah.
that'll answer the question for the waste recycling too. The contracts, they do go up by CPI, okay?
I'm sorry, what is that? Oh,
CPI, consumer price index, so,
Okay.
yeah, the contracts do go up by CPI because the landfill tip fees go up, every year, fuel prices go up. And with recycling, there is no guarantee with recycling. We don't even have a contract that takes us past 2 years because that's all based on, if we go back 4 years ago, 3 years ago, we didn't pay for recycling.
Right.
And now we're paying more for, disposing of recyclables than we are for MSW. So it's an unknown. We could go up even higher. Not anticipating go much higher, but it's something that nobody can guarantee us on a regular basis.
Questions?
Thank you. That was the only question I had.
Seeing none, we'll move into water fund.
I can't be late for them. They put me on as first at their meeting, and Mr. Warner wants to talk about the house group code, and I don't want to get I really need to be on time for that. If you want, I know you have unfinished business for Tuesday, if you want to do water and sewer, I have no problem.
Well, I may be able to answer the question.
Yeah, Chris, you leaving also? Would you able to carry it?
I can fumble through on water, but I think your specialist is making it right on that one, to be honest with you.
So we can do it another day, unfinished
Yeah, we
business.
So
Well, let's see what questions you have.
yeah, let's go through it, and if we have anything, we'll just,
You can,
yes, we'll let you.
tell me,
Absolutely.
tell me and I'll give you an answer, okay? I apologize, but
Good luck.
Sorry, thanks. So we'll move into water fund.
This is still kind of on waste based on the, Mr. LaFawn told us about the plans, about the bags, et cetera, and then we got the email today, we're gonna be discussing, the email that was sent out
From the union received. Did you see
Discussing
it?
the email.
about the concern from, yes.
I don't have, we can discuss that when we have unfinished business.
Okay.
Next week, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, because, yeah, that's, yes,
Did you see it yet?
yes. So we can address that,
Next week.
next Tuesday. Well, let's finish off meeting with the department and go through whatever we have, and process out, the budget, review. Let's move to water, and that's a separate tab. So if you can go through the revenue, please.
There's not really much to say about the revenue, we didn't increase any fees. I believe that, some of the, properties in and out of the city, depending on the year, increase or decrease, that's probably what you're seeing in the differences, the marginal differences in the revenue, throughout the water budget. But other than that, it's relatively the same, zero fees, anything happening.
Yes, so we're also added some appropriated fund balance of $61,109. And we're throwing some debt reserve in there too, that this helps us not increase fees.
Go ahead, please.
Mr. Gupta said that we were removing line FX to 410, or zeroing it out because there's no money, it's at 5,000 because there's, that property is not rented.
It's not rented, when I talked to Paul, I said, you think we can get somebody at least for 6 months or something? He goes, I don't, he goes, maybe.
I'm not running it out.
So he's not renting it out, so we
I'm
can.
not gonna back on council with that. The building requires upgrades, it's gonna cost more money. And I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole again.
So we're taking that amount out of the budget? Of the revenue?
This is just be one of the changes that we put on our sheet, okay?
Any additional question on what? Go ahead, please.
The metered water sales outside city, the 2022 actual revenue line, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems a lot closer. I don't understand the reason why, but as you can see throughout the years, Factor 5 has all but doubled. So wanted to ensure that we're not just attributing all of the increases to our city residents, especially if external residents are still equally benefiting from the same resource. So that's my question is just, what would be the process, hypothetically speaking, if we were interested in increasing that line for outside?
Actually, we did increase it last year, but you have to speak to Paul about that because he will give you the very correct answer.
So some of those would be beyond public session, some subject to negotiation with some of our sister communities where some are good to work with, some are less than good to work with. We've done a proposal years ago, look at Muskegon and their big debate over water. The city could provide 100% of their water, a lot less than what they're charging their residents. I'm not in any negotiations with them at this point to actually undertake that, but There are times when we provide 100% of the water for Niskuna. We have the capacity to do that. Most times, it's more of a split, depending on their capacity out of their wells.
Thank you.
Any other question on this water section? Go ahead, please.
On an expense line, the reservoir source of, is that the same? Reservoir source of supply,
Expense line?
FX 8320, 458 landscaping. It's under the reservoir, and I was just wondering what was included in that line, because that is, you know, a big jump. We're going from 14,000 to 30,600.
Paul used to mow the grass, he's not there, he's not mowing the grass.
So that's, we're paying, okay, thank you.
Don't we just have another staff, somebody else from the city just go mow the grass? Wouldn't it just be another staff member that mows other properties that we have?
But I think we weren't paying for
We weren't paying Paul to do the work, so it's an additional work. But I am looking at that within the staffing, it's the, just balancing resources out when we get complaints where we're not mowing the grass on parks, some of the islands, and other ones, so it's to keep up with the overall demand.
So does that, I'm not clear, does that mean that the SNAP crew wouldn't be doing that?
No, right now the proposal is to have an outside vendor come in and do it, which has been done for the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
And then
Go ahead.
83, am I still in the same section? Oh no, now I'm in pumping. Do you want me to ask the question or?
No, go ahead, it's the whole.
Okay, 8321 425 light power gas. I wasn't, I mean, it's a big increase, but I just assumed it was probably increases in gas and, you know, lighting, but I wasn't sure. It's 83.
Page 8,
yes.
page 4.
Page 4.
The light gas, the power and gas.
8321.
Go for the, because we're adding the.
Adding facility?
We're adding what?
Is it 'cause of the other pumping station?
We're adding more pumping stations, adding new water wells, and it's also not, it's also for electric and, gas also, yeah.
So it's just the increases that we're all facing in those areas?
Yeah.
But, okay, so the
Most
additional
of that
pumping,
is in electric costs, not gas costs.
Correct.
oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I only, there's nothing we can do about it, is basically what I'm thinking, but.
Hope for a better contract next time.
Any other question on water?
Well, in that, there are things that we're trying to do. We have the proposal to sell the one lot in Rotterdam for $500,000. That's been on hold because Rotterdam put in place a moratorium for solar fields and battery storage. We have adjacent property there. We're still looking at the option of putting solar panels under 2 models. One, you put the panels in, generate the electricity and sell it back to National Grid. The other one would be, because of our high demand for those pumps at the well, we would just use the electricity right on site. But with solar, again, it's a conditioned upon the time of day. The pumps run to varying degrees 24 hours a day. So you would never have full capacity of solar there.
Just wanted to let you know too, currently, we're at $809,000 per year for electric.
Yeah, I have that, yep.
So,
Yeah, I saw that. Yep.
Here. We'll move to sewer. Derek, can you just brief us on the revenue?
fund, it's only a 5.5% increase from the 24 adopted to the post 2025. There's no increases in the flat home or sewer rates. Basically the same thing as the water, depending on what comes online, what goes offline. We are using appropriate debt reserves of $61,000. Other than that, no major changes.
If you have questions, go ahead, please. Go ahead, I was going to call on you.
I just know that Paul would probably want to let you know that the sludge hauling and grit,
Yeah,
because we just, the contract has increased from like 100 and going up to 150 some dollars a ton. You know, you've been complaining, so we're going from 1,700 to 1,950. I know that it's a big point of contention with him, you know. I know he's trying to work hard to try to get better deals all the time.
It's not 1,700, it's 1.7 to 1.9
Going from
million.
1.7 to 1.9, yeah, that's what I'm saying. If I know he would want to talk about that, so that's a question you guys can ask when he comes back again.
Yeah, you want to summarize on the benefits?
The benefits are pretty much all the same from last year. The biggest increase is, again, like we said last year, was we knew this was going to happen, was for debt service and health. But we, because we had our plan to increase our the rates from last year, that's why we have to wait until this year.
Questions?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, under the workers' comp medical services, in 2023 was at 11,000 and 2024 50, and it went back down by the 50.
Yeah, what had happened was in 2023, there was someone who got hurt and continuing the services, so we knew it was going to increase, and now everybody seems to be good, so we're keeping it at, looking at lowering it, because there's really it's not really a huge number of people, so if one guy gets hurt, it will cause a little bit increase,
Any other questions? You ready for us? You gotta put this
Water and sewer is definitely Paul's forte. And general service questions, I can answer all that.
Yeah, if for some reason we're not satisfied, we can have him be available either Friday or Tuesday of next week to kind of answer any additional questions we may have.
Chris, can you do capital?
Yes, I was going to roll capital and capital is straightforward. You have,
I don't think
we can share that one. I'm gonna, sure.
It's waste collection, it's proposals for 2 rear loaders.
Parks and property
Parts,
maintenance.
yes.
Yeah.
Start from the top and we'll
Yeah.
work our way down.
Two F-350 regular pickups with plows, crew cab with the plow, and 2 golf carts. One of our golf carts was crashed this year. The other one is in very poor shape. It's how our staff moves along Central Park and gets from one side to the other. The fleet pickups are needed, especially our plowing abilities for our parks. They have a lot of aging vehicles. In our waste collection, Paul had also put in for 2 rear loader packers. I believe this is an excellent investment to continue to improve and replenish these trucks on a yearly basis, taking a couple of these in. I remember a few years back, 3 or 4 years back, we would put 4 in, and now we're down to the point where we can start maintaining at a 2-truck level. I think that's an ongoing budgeting thing.
No, I meant really quickly, does that increase the number of trucks you're able to put out daily, or does that ensure that all the trucks are in a good maintenance standard?
It is for more of a maintenance factor. We see with the older trucks, when they break down, there's a cost to maintain those, and a lot of those have to be sent out for a lot of the larger issues. So we'd be sending, usually it's 17 trucks going out daily. And it depends, that varies a little bit, depending on the time of year for yard waste and recycling. It's heavier sometimes, so we do put out some more. But we try to put a constant number out daily.
Next one will be street.
Our street department, yeah. Our 2 6-wheel dump trucks with plow and spreader, and then 6-wheel dump truck with front plow, wing blades, and salt and spreader. Our plow trucks are aging. I believe they are 06s that we're replacing, maybe an 04, 104.
Paul has them listed as 18-year-old trucks.
18, yeah, they're, as they were coming in last year, they were coming in on the wrecker. There wasn't a storm that we didn't have breakdowns with our plow fleet. So this is why we're putting in, trying to replace it.
Go ahead.
Do you still run 2 people on a wing truck or no, 1, 2?
Yeah.
Any question on these capital items?
More stuff on the water and sewer.
You have water and sewer, if you can just,
Again, I'll refer to Paul. I can go through this, and I have very little involvement in water and sewer.
So we can.
Sewer, I deal with these guys, but he
okay.
those are the supervisor.
Well, then we get to the questions.
Yes.
Well,
Let's go through them, and if you have any questions.
Like, well field is for the 2 existing wells that I redeveloped, 2 with the wells that are there.
Where, you got them, you know where?
On Rice
Rice Road.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rice Road, we're drilling other
And
wells.
then the water district repairs and improvements, 350,000, that's for any improvements that they're doing on the water line throughout the city. They need a van for the plumber, and all these, we're gonna be using capital reserves, so we're not borrowing any money for that. And the sewer, this is where, it's Paul, you need Paul. But I just wanna make one thing, there's a wastewater replace bar screen, design only, for like $1 million. And we put some asterisks on the bottom, it says that is gonna determine what the cost is gonna be, but Paul
Cost
is
is $7 million.
$7 million more, so I just wanna let you guys know that. The utility cabs, the truck, and the wastewater treatment equipment replacement, we're gonna be using the capital reserves, and then we're gonna borrow money for the collection system repairs and improvement. The digester, which is, well, he'll have to explain that to you, because that's quite a story. And then again, the screen. I just want to get at that, so that when you see him, it'll put you in mind that I have to ask him about this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Maybe for the mayor, Anthony. So the survey we got on the water, you know, what our water, is that, is the city responsible for replacing anything from any part of that? And where would that money come from if we are?
There are scenarios where we would be responsible. At this point, we're doing the survey, looking to line up for federal and state money that's going to be available for that. So I'm not at this point assuming that there's going to be any expenditure of local dollars for any of those remediations.
Yeah, Paul had mentioned that to us at the committee meeting, that the possibility that it might be grant earlier, that they're gonna look into.
There is grant funding, for, you're talking about the lead, replacement lines for the survey, there is grant money that's 100% reimbursable for the city.
And what I would ask the council to do is when you're out with groups or talking to individuals, no matter what you're talking about, remind people to fill out their survey, send it in so that we have a better inventory of what's in the field and have a better way to estimate some of those potential costs.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Paul, thank you, Chris, thank you, everyone. Any other business of our finance? I would like to recess finance for Friday, October 11th, 5:30 p.m. right here, room 110.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Tonight was a good night.
The staff asked.
She called me in last time. I was like, what am I gonna do? And then I said, you know, just. I can't tell them.
Oh, yeah.
No, I can't. I can all look at the agenda, we'll talk to her.
Can you come here?
Next week, is that
Thank you for doing that.
Fees, we're talking about enforcement.
I mean, like, the police fees, the water fees.